You're listening to Perpetual Traffic with Keith Krantz, Molly Pittman, and Ralph Burns. They are going to show you how to build an automated traffic generating machine. Now, here is Keith, Molly, and Ralph with Perpetual Traffic.
All right, welcome to the very first episode of the Perpetual Traffic Podcast. We are so excited to finally launch the show. It's been a long time in the making, and this show is all about how you can create a system, an automated system where you are constantly bringing in a flow of new leads, new customers into your business, traffic, leads, customers into your business, while also creating goodwill all along the way. And we're going to be going through a ton of different case studies.
I remember one day I almost threw the computer across the room. I was so frustrated. It's just like...
Debate panels.
Carry on,
as you rest.
Expert panels.
You know, you've had about 300 checkouts at $12 in the last 30 days.
No, that's cool. I just know that I have enough money in the bank to do a whole lot of cool stuff right now to make my business better.
And just all around specific cutting edge strategies that we are going to show you how you can implement into your business. Super excited to roll this out with my co-host. So first co-host is Molly Pittman, Vice President of Digital Marketer and Director of Paid Traffic. And Molly can explain exactly what her title is and what she does, because I'll never do a very good job of it. Hi, Molly. How we doing?
Hello, doing well. Glad to have you here listening.
Awesome. And then we got Ralph Burns, COO and Managing Partner of Dominate Web Media, dominatewebmedia.com. How we doing, Ralph?
We are doing great. Really excited to be on here as well.
And myself, I'm CEO and founder of Dominate Web Media. So Ralph and I are partners in that business. Molly is Vice President of digitalmarketer.com, which is the company that Ryan Deiss has founded and created. And Ryan Deiss is really one of the pioneers, if not the number one pioneer in the entire digital marketing space. He's one of the first gurus or experts that I ever followed way back when I first got into this business. And Digital Marketer has helped literally millions of business owners all across the world help grow their business.
If you decided that tonight you wanted to have rice for dinner, this is probably how it would go down, right? You say, you know what would be good for dinner tonight? Let's have rice. Okay, so what's step one if you want rice? Well, you got to buy a rice field, or a field into which rice can be planted, right? That's step one. You have to have a field. And then you have to buy rice. What is rice seed? Is like rice seed a thing, or is rice the seed? You got to figure that out. I'm sure it's going to need irrigation. Those things, when I see them in pictures, they're like filled with water. People slosh around, so you got to figure out how to get some water. Got to figure out it's going to take some time to grow rice. So maybe you should plan on something else for dinner tonight. Might want to push that out a squinch, right? That's how we all get rice, right? No. If you want rice, what do? You go to the store and you buy some freaking rice. You go to the store and you buy rice. Today, if you want traffic, you go to the store and you buy traffic.
On the show, we're going to be showing you insider tips from our Facebook account manager, insight on the several $1 million spent on Facebook ads and several 100,000 leads generated, several $1 million sold directly from our Facebook ad efforts and other social traffic in 28 different industries. And Molly, your guys' experience just alone, elaborate on your experience. And maybe Ralph, you can touch on the agency side of our business.
Absolutely. I think that's, what really makes this podcast different. You guys have clients in 28 different industries, tons of case studies. You run traffic for these people. And, at Digital Marketer, we own 23 different businesses in different markets so that we get to run traffic in those markets and then teach people just like what is best practice, what is the best way to create really a perpetual traffic system that is going to bring in those leads and sales and customers. Personally, I've spent a little bit over $3 million on Facebook in the past 2 years. So I know that between both of us, there's a lot of experience sitting here.
Yeah, and the best thing is that we get to try all this stuff out. And the goal is to get the results that we want for our clients and obviously for our own business as well. I'm always the same way, but we get to try out lots of different new strategies, with client accounts because we're given a fair amount of creative freedom to be able to do that. So, that's the kind of stuff that as soon as we see something that might be working in one niche, we relay it over to another niche and then try it out there. And if it doesn't work, we pause it and cut it. But that's the reason why it's, I think this podcast and this show is really going to be helpful for a lot of people, is because we're actually doing this stuff every single day and trying out new things. And, you know, the primary platform that we'll be talking about here is Facebook. It's constantly changing, and you've got to stay ahead of the curve. You got to go to where the puck is going to be as opposed to where it is, like Wayne Gretzky says. So hopefully we'll be able to relay that here in the show. And, you know, between the three of us, I'm sure we'll have a lot to say.
Exactly. And that's why this initial show, really the title of the show is The Future of Paid Traffic. We're going to be talking about the future of paid traffic the entire way. Okay. How you can not only get traffic now, but how you can be building a relationship, creating goodwill with your audience all along the way, and then having systems where you have traffic coming in from all these different sources, not just Facebook, but some of the other cutting edge media platforms that we are testing behind the scenes, that we're not even officially teaching yet, that we're going to be showing you guys what's happening, showing you our struggles, showing you our successes, those types of things, interviewing other experts that we vet, that we know are highly qualified to come on this show. Okay, so we're super excited about that. And not only that, we're going to be taking you through some case studies, like just a few episodes coming up. We've got an awesome series of 3 episodes with Betty Rocker.
So that's a 5-to-1 return on my investment. And since January, I haven't done any Instagram promotions like I did last year. So this has all been really from Facebook. It's really all this year from working with you guys. You know, like my goal is not to make $1 gazillion. My goal is to have like an awesome life and freedom and like to have that consistency.
So Bree's putting in $8 and getting back $47. So
really, from your guys' perspective, I feel like I'm spending a tiny amount of money and my sales have never been better.
Betty Rocker, who's just killing it right now and had never run Facebook ads before 4 months ago. And now, you know, she's getting 9-cent clicks to her website, sub $2 leads, and getting new customers for $8 at a time. What does that mean? She's spending $8 to make $47. Okay. And then she's got other products on the back end where there's even more profit from that. Okay. So we're going to be walking you through behind the scenes, how we're able to do that, how she's able to do that. And also we're going to be doing really, really fun debates on topics, different digital marketing and just business related topics, expert panels on the most cutting edge strategies working today. And most of all, just highly relevant, clearly explained strategies that you can implement now. Okay. Not just the next shiny object. We're not here to roll out this show to give you a different specific tip every single episode with different experts. So you're just like spinning after 6 weeks. That's not the goal of the show. The goal of the show is not to show you who we know and who we're connected with. Okay. The goal of this show is to give you strategies and tactics you can implement, where you can grow your business and scale your business. So you can actually put some systems in place so you might be able to actually go and maybe spend a few hours doing the things you like to do, like hanging out with family or going on a trip or those types of things. So that's the real true premise of the show. And so hopefully you're as excited as we are to listen in and, you know, follow along in this really cool journey with us.
And I think the thing that people, I think they would like, and one of the things that I always liked when I was listening to shows is the fact that we're not just going to present only the success stories. You know, we're going to show you guys the mistakes that we make as well, because there's 3 people on the show here that 5-6 years ago weren't really even in this industry, or Molly
right.
even less. So
yes.
it can be learned, and part of the process is making mistakes along the way and figuring out what works and what doesn't. You know, especially the stuff that doesn't, you know, pause that as quickly as you possibly can. But, you know, because we've got some experience here with client accounts and our own running traffic, hopefully we'll be able to avoid a lot of the mistakes that you might make if you had not listened to some of these episodes. So that's definitely our goal, is to be as transparent as possible.
Yep. Cool.
A look behind the kimono.
Exactly.
You got it.
All right. So just sit back here for a second if you're listening to this and just imagine, have you ever been at a party, a conference, or a networking event where you met that guy or that girl where literally after 30 seconds after shaking his hands, he's trying to pitch you whatever his business is. Maybe it's financial planning. So 30 seconds later, he's trying to pitch you his services or nail down an appointment with you. What do you want to do to that guy? Right? You want to run away or you want to kick him out the front door, right? I know everybody has had that experience happen to them.
I met one this weekend.
Yeah, you want to turn them around and kick their butt out the door, right?
I introduced him to my neighbor and then walked away.
You passed him off.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
right, I did. I handed him off.
Exactly. So nobody likes that guy, okay? Now just imagine if you meet a completely different guy. Let's say this guy's name's John, and we shake hands and we ask each other what we do, and he says, yeah, I'm a financial planner, and I make a comment like, yeah, geez, I've got a 7-year-old, his name's Kyler, and I don't know how I'm going to afford to pay for college, for how much college is these days. It's kind of crazy. And maybe he says something like, hey, you know what? There's actually a pretty cool tax loophole. It's called a 529. And, here's a website. You can go check it out for yourself. It's pretty cool way where you can literally save a bunch of money for college, and it's tax deductible, and you can write it off against your income. What kind of sports do your kids do? Any sports or activities? And, he changes the subject and we start talking about other things and we become friends. And later on that night, I tell my wife about this guy, John, that I met, and he gave me this pretty sweet tip about a way we can help pay for Kyler's college tuition in a few years. The next day, I wake up and it's Monday morning, and I've got about a 15-20 minute drive on the way to work. And about 10 minutes in or so, I'm kind of sitting in traffic. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a billboard, and it's a picture of the same guy. It's John, guy that I met at the party and became friends with. And on the billboard, it says something like, have you saved enough to pay for your kids' tuition? Go to this website or call this 1-800 number to find out if you'll be able to save enough for your kids' tuition. Do you think that I would have a high likelihood of calling that number or going to that website? Of course I would, because John's a friend of mine. We became friends. I trust him and I like him. And people like to do business with their friends, with people they like and people they trust. That's how it works in the real world offline. Now, the awesome thing about this show is we're going to show you a way where you can literally build a machine where you can be cloning yourself and having yourself at all these parties and networking events and conferences, building relationships, making friends with people, building trust, and then eventually moving some of them into your business as customers or clients. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Makes sense to me. Yeah.
All right, cool. So check this out. In 2009, I got this stat from an awesome book called Utility, Youtility. It's written by Jay Baer. Okay, it's a great book. And in his book, he talks about a couple stats. One of them is in 2009, the average consumer consumed 2 to 3 pieces of content before making a purchasing decision. Okay, and in 2010, that number jumped to 5.3. So they consumed 5.3 pieces of content before they bought something. And in 2011, that number doubled again to 10.4. So the average consumer consumes 10.5 pieces of content before buying something. Now, if they're buying a t-shirt or something like that, maybe it's 1 or 2, right? But if they're trying to install a swimming pool, it might be, say, 25 pieces of content. So it's relative to what they're trying to purchase. But that's back in 2011. Now, that doesn't even include, now we're talking 3, 4 years, 5 years later, right? So what the stats are now, I don't exactly know, but they're big. And so what you have to do is understand this. One of the biggest reasons why people consume so much content is because people have information at their fingertips. Everybody has a mobile device. They don't have phones anymore. They don't have tablets. They have phablets, right? PHA, phablets. And so people have mobile devices that are huge, and so they have information at their fingertips. And that's one of the biggest reasons why. And there's just so much information out there. So what you have to do as a business owner or entrepreneur is put systems in place to understand this. And that's okay. And that's what we're going to talk about. And so that's what we're super, super excited about. So Molly, I would love for you to explain, what building relationship with traffic really, really means.
Consumer behavior is alive online, right? We almost act online just as we do in person now. So, it's not that you still can't set up a Facebook campaign and drive a bunch of leads and sales in 12 hours. You might have that one hit wonder that will help your business, and that's great. But the reason that the system and, a system for automating these relationships and the building of these relationships relationships is so important, is based just on what Keith was talking about. People are, the buying cycle online is almost the same as it is in person now. People are doing research and they're looking at your competitors and they're really going through, the funnel, right? They're aware that they have a problem, and then, they're in the evaluation mode of, do I really want to solve this problem? Okay, yes or no. And then, maybe does your competitor have a better priced product, or, who should I actually buy from to solve this problem, right? And then you have the conversion. So if you think about traffic that way, and you think about traffic in the way that Keith was just talking about, not wanting to be that guy at a party, it's pretty simple. You want to think about, I'm going out to cold traffic. I'm going to people that have never met me before. What is appropriate for me to say? And if you think about it again as a relationship, and you go to someone who you've never met before and you immediately ask them for something, that might not work. And the reason that it might not work is because you don't have any relationship equity built, right? So if you think about your relationship sort of, as a bank, and you haven't given them anything, right? The bank is empty. And then you're going and you're asking them to give you something, and you haven't given, you haven't put in any money or any value into the bank yet. It makes it a lot harder for someone to say yes. But if you do come to them and you've never met before and you provide them value, right? You give them something that they really want or something that's useful, and you build trust with them and establish yourself as an authority. When it's time to ask them for something, they know who you are. There's a little bit of trust built. There's money in the bank, right? They're much more likely to give you whatever you're asking for. So starting to think about paid traffic that way and automating the relationship, how can I, as a business, really introduce myself to all of these people online who may not know who I am? How can I give them value? And then how do I turn them into a lead, right? What are the appropriate offers? What kind of ads should I run? And then how do I turn them from a lead to a buyer? All of this is very, very important to keep in mind, but it's also very important to automate. And it's why we would never take a $5,000 product out to cold traffic. Hey, you've never met me before, but don't you want to give me $5,000? It's not that this is just the right way to go and it's what's best for the customer. It also works, which is the most important part, right? You can actually make more money for your business running traffic this way. So not only is it the right thing to do, you're providing goodwill, but you're also going to create an automated stream of leads and sales and new customers to really keep your business alive.
Exactly. And on the next episode, Molly's going to go even deeper in exactly one of the best ways that we do this. She's going to go a lot deeper in the specifics when it comes to really doing this.
If you're confused about, we have 3 different tiers of traffic that I teach, and, different offers that you would make based off of the relationship. And we'll absolutely share that in the next episode, because that's really the structure of this system.
Yep.
And I think in social networks now, it's what Molly's saying is you're really just mimicking the actions in the outside world, the offline world. I mean, if you think about how we do business, that guy at the party is a perfect example of that. And I think when people look to online marketing, they look at it like, all right, well, what can I get out of it before I actually give something? And I think that give used to be a certain way, maybe a few years ago, and it worked really well. But now things are evolving, and especially in some of the biggest traffic sources that are out there right now, and the one that we have, a lot of experience with, that their algorithm and the way that they've changed how they actually show ads and who gets the better quality score or relevant score and who gets the most impressions are the ones who actually give the most. And then you develop that relationship and sort of take it down the line. I think that's a really important thing to remember because that's a huge shift in digital marketing and marketing yourself online in general in just the last, less than 6 months. I think a lot of marketers have been kicking and screaming, kind of trying to resist this change. Whereas, if you do it right, you can actually get more value and give more value and actually make more on the back end if you do it right. So I think, the social networks that we're all a part of, we don't really think of them as mirroring the real world, but in fact, they really are. And, Facebook in general and other social networks are really the party. You just don't want to be that guy.
Exactly. And that might be a reason that you're listening, right? Over the past 3 years, even on Facebook, running one of the one-hit wonder ads that I was just talking about, straight to a sales page or to a landing page and generating a ton of leads and sales, that was viable and it worked and a lot of people had success. And, that's just not the case any longer. And so, this sort of system that Keith and Ralph and I have been talking about for a while and we've seen it coming, it's really being forced upon a lot of people because it's the way that the traffic platforms want it to run. And they want it to run that way because it's what's best for the end user. And that's really what's most important. It's best for your prospects and your customers and, anyone who is on a traffic platform where you're buying traffic.
If you're listening right now and you're a little bit nervous, you're like, wow, this is a lot to learn. And I want to give you a couple different things. Number one, Molly, we gave our little intros and Molly's the vice president of digital marketer. Well, I don't know if you realize this right now if you're listening, but not too long ago, Molly, yes, she sounds very, very smart right now, doesn't she? Like she's been doing this for 25 years. Molly, a couple years ago, you were an intern at Digital Marketer with zero experience in marketing, digital marketing, anything like this.
Yeah, I moved to Austin from Kentucky and I was looking for a job and DM and really our parent company, Idea Incubator, who owns, the 23 different companies I was talking about. And Ryan and Perry were looking to hire, 10 to 12 interns and, they put us through this internship program and we created new business plans for, properties like Survival Life. If you've ever heard of survivallife.com, that's one of our companies. And it started from this internship project, which was really cool. But anyways, I went through the internship project and realized that I really liked running traffic and that's really the realm where I stuck. And, over the past year, things progressed and I learned, the business outside of traffic and that's, sort of how I came to the position that I'm in. But traffic really is what excites me. And, it's definitely the part of the business that I like the most. But the moral of the story is if you are nervous or you feel like you don't know this stuff, you absolutely can learn it. And, really just listening to people that know what they're doing and implementing, that's the most important part.
Betty Rocker went through the same experience and frustrations as you'll see in a few episodes coming up. At the beginning, she was so frustrated. I think she said she felt like, throwing her computer against the wall because it just felt like this Facebook ads talk or emails from Ralph or me were like Spanish to her, but she implemented.
But I also I feel like, all this blowing it up and stuff. I mean, for me, the heart of that, why I wanted to do it was really because I feel like what I have is really important for people to hear my message. Yeah. They need to hear it. And so it was really, it was my duty almost to learn this stuff and get the message out there wider than I could do on my own. And I was just so glad I found this way to do it.
You have to use these strategies if you want to keep your account safe or if you want to get good strategies. So we started kind of talking about some of these things as just additional strategies to implement. We've always tried to kind of really stay on the cutting edge of, like Ralph said, where the puck is going. And I think you're really going to enjoy that part of the show. Some of the things like video ads, some of the video ads things we're doing right now. Nobody out there is doing this stuff yet. Some of the other things like implementing, like using Facebook and YouTube video ads together and building a system out of that and that you can actually implement. I think you're going to be excited about some of those types of things. So, stay tuned and implement. If you have questions, just make sure you reach out and bring any questions that you do have, and we'll try to, cover those on future episodes and stuff like that. So.
And we're going to do our best to avoid the bright, shiny object syndrome. I know when I was first starting with this, it was only, I guess, 5 years ago when I got fired from the corporate world and started my own online business, is that you would always sort of chase all these little things and never really sure which one would end up being the one. But I mean, for me, it was traffic and it was pay-per-click advertising, and then obviously other paid media. And, I've been doing it now for a while, but the point is that anyone can do it, because I think the strategies that we're going to talk about, especially in the next episode and the episode after that, are really pretty straightforward. And if you always sort of think back to, how to best sort of engage somebody, how somebody sort of becomes your friend, and then you eventually sort of deepen that relationship with the next step and the next step after that. And maybe the step after that is when they actually buy that $5,000 product, and think about it that way. It really is simple. So we're going to try and help you as much as we possibly can to make sure we simplify it, but also give you some tips and things that we've learned so that it speeds up that learning curve as well.
There's always some cases, yes, we talk about this process that has to happen, right? You have to build relationships, but we're always looking for shortcuts, you know what I mean? To be able to speed up that process. And that's why the stat I told you about Utility, the book Utility, which I recommend reading, we've taken the stuff they talk about in Utility that can sometimes take 2 or 3 years to build or more. We've figured out a way to take that process and take a massive shortcut and, use one piece of anchor content and then amplify it with Facebook. But there's some other things, other strategies that you'll hear about, like, for example, on the 3rd episode with Betty Rocker, where we talk about, using like a mini sales video in Facebook in the newsfeed, driving them right to an order form. Okay. We've got a client killing it on that right now. We're skipping the entire process of kind of like this whole warm up process, but there's a few subtle things in play there for us even to be able to do that. And so you've got to understand the foundation. So I don't want you to think that like, oh my gosh, everything has to be this long, huge, massive, complex system because it doesn't necessarily, but you have to understand how the process works.
Absolutely, Keith. No, I agree. And the system doesn't have to be complex, really. You really just have to think about it as a relationship. And, in the next episode, we'll talk about, those 3 sort of steps in the relationship. And as long as you keep that in mind, the minuscule parts of it, what button do I click in Facebook, or what does this mean? The parts that seem so big, they won't matter if you understand the bigger picture.
And oftentimes you can get these kinds of results without even really knowing what you're doing. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm thinking
guys.
Yeah, I know. I mean, one of our coaching clients specifically, she didn't know what she was doing, and she got a 3-to-1 return on Facebook ads without really much help at all, just because she implemented and she sort of took action on something that she thought was going to work, and it ended up really working. Of course, she's got a great product at the end of the line, so that always helps as well. But the point is that you have to be able to take action and not be so fearful that you never even take that first step. So hopefully we'll be able to overcome some of those fears and get you going and getting you taking action as soon as you listen to these episodes.
Yep, exactly. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. We're running out of time now. I'd love to go deeper and deeper into this stuff, but we are just out of time. So make sure you hop on the next episode, and we're really going to go deep. Molly's going to go deep into this whole process of really how to build relationships one pixel at a time and put these systems together for your business so you can have a perpetual traffic machine. All right. So, all right, guys. Well, this was fun. Awesome first episode. I'm super excited to keep going and bring lots of really cool stuff to people. And hope you guys are too.
Talk soon.
Yeah, we're psyched.
Right. Cool.
See you guys.
Talk to you soon.
You've been listening to Perpetual Traffic with Keith Krantz, Molly Pittman, and Ralph Burns.
Now, if you'd like to get all the resources that we mentioned in this show, just go to digitalmarketer.com/episode 01. That's digitalmarketer.com/episode 01 to check out all the show notes.